Welcome, lovers and leaders. Welcome to another time with me, Dr. Sarah, your industrial organizational psychologist. I am back again to give my feedback, my little tidbit, okay, on some glass door reviews, okay. Well, more like submissions by folks in the workplace. So I'm gonna do a review, okay. So this submission is by a software developer, and he or she has the question: how to avoid outshining my master, where my master is so incompetent. So I don't know if this person is a foreign, meaning outside of the US, where I am using the word master, but in other words, they mean like their employer, their boss, right? So, how to avoid outshining my boss when my boss is so incompetent? This is what he or she is asking. This is a software developer, okay? This is their role as a software developer. So, here's what they said. So, I am leading a team of developers, and my manager is so incompetent. Who has one of those? Let me know in the comment section. That he takes a lot of wrong decisions, what are not in the best interest of the team. And since I'm responsible for team delivery, okay, so you have a manager and you're responsible for team delivery. All right. I try my best to make them deliver, yet this is making him uncomfortable because he is seeing how his plans are proved to be wrong, and yet he keeps insisting to interfere with decisions to prove he is the strategic leader. How should I balance this? So here's just a situation where this software developer is pretty competent, cares about the team. As you can see, he talks about basically he's responsible to ensure that the team delivers, delivers on tasks, delivers on deadlines, and he obviously cares about the outcome of the team, right? But he's coming against his master, his boss, who he believes is incompetent because the boss makes a lot of wrong decisions. And also he's coming against a boss that is trying to interfere, it looks like, with his decisions or her decisions, the software developer, to prove that they are the strategic thinker. Maybe in other words, to prove that they're the ones, his boss or her boss is trying to probably take credit in a way, because like he or she's saying, the software developer is saying, is that the boss makes a lot of bad decisions, but then interferes with the software developer's decisions. And it sounds to me that the boss is a little bit insecure, because you can see here that the software developer is saying that he keeps insisting to interfere with decisions to prove he is the strategic thinker. So it's almost like the boss is trying to take credit for this software developer that cares so much for their team. And the person saying, how do I balance this? How do I work this out? Well, first of all, I'm happy that this software developer is saying, how do they balance this? It tells me that this software developer cares a lot to work this out. They're not trying to leave, thankfully they're not in an anxious position where they're like, I'm ready to, leave my boss, fire my boss and leave. So I'm happy they're trying to work this out. This shows me a lot of good emotional regulation. And this software developer is also very responsible to, resolve this internal conflict with the boss, right? So I would first of all say thank you so much for your services. Thank you for taking care of your team. You're already showing good leadership skills, even though you're having some personality tension with your boss. Thank you for showing leadership skills that you want to resolve this conflict. That, like I said, that is a good hallmark. Caring for the team and wanting to resolve conflict resolution, these are good hallmarks of authentic leadership style. So bravo to you. And let me also tell you, number two is that don't worry about it so much, because your colleagues are already seeing the tension. Your colleagues are already seeing the good work that you're doing. All right. So when you see your boss trying to, like, um, you know, poke in and trying to get in there when you're making those good decisions and trying to make it out that they're the ones actually making the good strategic decisions and taking credit, don't think your colleagues don't see that. They see it. In the workplace, you see people see a lot of things but say nothing. So don't be fooled that because no one's saying anything to you directly and you think, oh my goodness, I'm doing all this work and I'm not getting credit for it because my bosses are trying to get credit. Let me tell you something, your colleagues see it. And your boss's boss, if they're around you, sees it too. And even if your boss's boss is not around you, let me tell you something. There's oftentimes someone amongst your team, likely has a relationship with your boss's boss, and they know. You think your boss's boss don't know everything? Well, actually, no, sometimes they don't know everything. But there are people in the workplace that chitty chatter. So just relax. Your good work is being noticed, and it's going to work out in the end. Now, in the interim, with you and your boss, you have to first of all understand that there are those insecure type bosses, like the one you have, trying to take credit of your work. They recognize that they are making certain mistakes, right? And of course, they don't want to look incompetent in front of you and the rest of their direct reports, right? They haven't learned the emotional intelligence of being a boss doesn't mean you know everything. Okay? Some folks don't get it. Both male and female bosses, some of them that are not equipped in good leadership skills, all right, to influence people the right way, they really think they have to know everything. I don't know where they learned that from. It's so archaic. As a boss, as a good leader, okay, your job, all right, a real good job of a leader is to assess who's good at what, assign those people to the right task, right, and empower them to do good. Because guess what? When you empower your human assets, your human capital, in other words, your human resource, in other words, the team wins. And as your leader, I win. But you see, your boss don't get that. It's actually not your job to teach your boss, the right way to lead. But I tell you something, you can lead by example. As I can already tell from what you're saying here, you care about your team. The one amazing hallmark of a good boss is not to force people to do things, but to lead by example. And when you lead by example, you influence people. Influence is more powerful than trying to make people do something. So it's not your boss, not your job to try to change your boss. But what I do recommend, because I like the word you use, how to balance this out, how to work this out, how to, just create a balance in your relationship. I would first of all look to you to ask yourself the question, I, software developer, what am I good at? What do I contribute well to the team? Keep that noted. And number two, your boss, what are they good at? What do they contribute well to the team? And I want you to assess that. Why? Because I want you to leverage, collaborate. Because when you say how to balance this, it's almost like you're a collaborator. And I can tell that anyway, because you want your team to win. So you have collaborative skills. I want you to be the bigger person in this situation, where you can, by proxy and by leading by example, work with your boss in a way whereby You are acknowledging in your conversation with them that this is what you bring to the table and they should leverage this so they can win. And you can acknowledge what they bring to the table and kind of, commend them of the things that they do well so that you are not seen as a threat to them. Because let me tell you something, because of this insecure boss you have, if you continue inadvertently, it's not your fault that you're great. I mean, they should let you be great. It's not your fault. But if you are seen as a threat to your boss, the boss that writes your performance evaluation, the boss that can either favor you there or make your life a living hell, you don't want to be a threat to them, directly or indirectly. All right? So, in you leveling up, all right, as an employee there, whether you are, you're, like you say, you're responsible for the team delivery, so you have some type of leadership role. Likely not supervisory role, doesn't sound like you haven't said that, but at least like some type of leadership role. And you need to keep that end in mind, that that's your goal, to be a leader. And leaders don't try to do the insecure thing like your boss is doing, nor do leaders get threatened by other people. So I want you to practice making it clear to your boss, this is what I bring to the table. I'm all about us winning as a team. Don't necessarily, because you have to be really sensitive with these type of crazy people, insecure people. You don't want it to be like, I'm making all these good decisions. I'm the one making these good decisions and my boss is trying to take credit. People see that already. I want you to know that, all right? You're not alone. But I want you to have the emotional wherewithal where you can make it to your boss that you're not a threat to them by be like, yeah, okay, that if in an instance where they're trying to interfere with your decision making and try to take credit, let them. Because there's a way where people, you allow them to take it, but then you have to, there's a way in conversations you can ask them, well, how did you get to that decision, and what else do you expect us to do, depending on what you're talking about, so they can run with it. I want you to create this atmosphere where you are in a team spirit with your boss. If they want to take credit, be like, okay, that's what you think? Okay, cool. All right. So what else do you want us to do? Because at the end of the day, we don't want to create unhealthy competition in your team dynamics. You have a good idea. You want the idea to work. Your boss is the one that's going to make your idea work. So you're going to have to find a very friendly, intelligent, highly intelligent, emotional way to make it work. If that means them taking the credit just for a moment, so be it. Because at the end of the day, like I said, people see it. Especially if you're in a staff meeting, all right? If you're in a staff meeting, bring up those ideas. And if literally in the staff meeting, that boss is trying to take the credit, you think your colleagues are dumb? They see it. So reduce the potential, or if it's already happened, reduce you making yourself as a threat to your boss. Let that boss know that you are here for the team and you are of value to the boss. You're of value. This is what I bring. And you're of value even to that boss's self-esteem, and be like, to acknowledge, like I said, what they bring of value. So at some point, your boss is going to realize, okay, this is what I bring, but you know what? This is what the software developer brings. There'll be a distinct difference. I want you, it's a very, it's a finesse whereby I don't want you to struggle with your boss to like you said, outshining. I don't want it to be a struggle about who's outshining who. It's gonna end badly. And oftentimes, um, depending how long your boss has been there, depending on the competency level of your boss in other areas, you're the one that's going to end up leaving and your boss is still going to be there. So you're going to have to not outshine your boss, but outsmart your boss. All right? In terms of these ideas you're talking about that you have and your boss is, trying to take credit, trying to interfere with your decision making, maybe try a tactic whereby you create you create a scene where your boss has to ask you for help, not you necessarily always initiating it. Try that. I'm not saying to be completely always silent, but let them ask you for help. And even when they ask you, emphasize, like, are you asking me for help for X, Y, and Z? And then if you have staff meetings or any group huddles, when you're giving in a report, what you should say is, when you're giving a report, as a result of what our supervisor or our boss says, this is what you're saying to the team. As a result of what so and so asked me to do, this is what I'm reporting. So it's like you are highlighting that your boss asked you for this help, and that engages your boss to think that they were so smart to come up with this question and they asked you. So you're still getting the shine, and in a way your boss is getting the shine. So I don't want you to talk about be concerned about how to avoid outshining your boss, but how to outsmart, where everybody gets shine. And those ideas you have actually get executed, because you don't want your boss to hinder your ideas and to take the credit for it. All right. So what I'm really trying to say is that in a very gentle, humble way, I want you to not struggle with your boss, but to find opportunities to bring light to the collaboration between you and your boss. So if you're coming up with ideas, are you coming up with the ideas because your boss asked you? If that's the case, report it out in these staff meetings, for example, or any kind of random conversation. You know what, I'm doing this because my boss, whatever their name is, asked me to as a result of this conversation that we had. This is when you're dealing with an insecure person. So it's like you and this person, you and the boss are working together, not working against each other. Okay? And since you are responsible for the team delivery, and I'm believing you are an emerging leader, or because I can sense it from this, you're definitely an emerging leader or a leader already. You never want the team to be uncomfortable between you and your boss. You don't want them to feel like they're taking sides. You don't want them to feel like they're working on eggshells, because at the end of the day, if your boss is also the boss of your colleagues, they're going to side with your boss. That he or she's the one doing the performance evaluations. Okay? And let me tell you something. Everybody gets a turn. Everybody gets a turn in this workplace thing. I remember a situation whereby there was a manager. I don't want to say what type of manager, but there was a manager. And then he had his direct report. And everyone knew, apparently. Okay, I didn't know until later on. But everyone knew that the direct report was actually the one doing most of the heavy lifting, all right, of these type of I don't want to say too much. These type of like assessments, all right, assessments of work. Everyone knew that the direct report was doing the heavy lifting and was more had more technical expertise than their boss, to the point that the manager's boss, I remember in a staff meeting, literally was so frustrated with the manager and let the manager have it in front of everyone because the manager was incompetent. And people knew. But I didn't know how incompetent the manager was, because I liked the manager. I didn't know that his direct report was doing a heavy load until later on. But anyway, I say all this to say, because eventually, with the manager's boss being frustrated with the manager and some other internal conflicts happening that didn't get resolved, the manager ended up leaving. And that direct report that was doing the heavy lifting, highly expert in the field, but younger person, mind you, compared to the manager, ended up being taking the role of the manager. Until today, still thriving. So I say those all to say, because you will get your turn. Just keep doing good. Don't try to, ruffle the waters or ruffle the feathers or get frustrated, because people see the good work you're doing. If indeed you're saying that your manager makes bad decisions, you are the one predominantly making the good decisions, and the manager's trying to take credit, trust me, people see, people know. People see and people know. What's either going to happen is that manager's going to leave eventually or get reassigned, or and then you will take that role potentially if you want it, or you might end up leaving. But if you leave, I want you to leave having a higher level managerial position, position in management, with the lessons learned of how to be a leader from this situation you're in. I don't want you to leave hastily, and I'm thankful that you do want to work things out. Okay, so try to find a collaborative spirit between you and your boss. Don't tussle with him or her. If they want to take credit, let them. People see. But like I've said before, be smart and clever to outsmart, not outshine. Be smart and clever, and in conversations with your boss, build that rapport with your boss where you can commend your boss in the good things that they contribute to the team. And so that boss doesn't always feel that they have to take, your shine, like you say, right? So, and because I say that so that there'll be a clear distinction in your boss's mind. You're going to be less of a threat to them, and they can see there's a clear distinction between you and them, and they can, and by commending your boss and appreciating why your boss is your boss can actually do some favors for you. All right, can do some favors for you. Remember, you're doing the insecure person, so you got to outsmart. So commend them. I'm not talking about, trying to lick their blah blah blah. No, I'm saying commend them professionally, because your boss is a boss for a reason. And there's some things that I believe, when we all meet each other in the workplace, there's a reason why we meet in that season of our lives. There's something we all meant to learn from each other, whether it's obvious or not. It may not be obvious until down the line, but there's a reason why your boss is a boss. So trying to figure out those positive reasons and leverage those reasons for the good of the team and even for your own growth and development. And simultaneously, as you're commending your boss, because you want that boss to also do favors for you and not make your life a living hell, all right? Be smart. Allow your boss to even commend you. Put yourself in this. I'm hoping that you're not frowning too much in the workplace, hoping that you're still open to conversation in the workplace, or hopefully you're not like you yourself creating tension in the workplace either, that your boss is now having to feel like they have to buck up and try to, outshine you, as you said. All right. I want you to evaluate yourself. Are you potentially contributing to the tension there? We don't want competition, unhealthy competition. If there's going to be any competition, it is competition of your organization with another organization, not within, because that's always going to end, typically not well. So think team first, and think how you positively contribute to the team, how you may have to grow and develop with some emotional regulation as well. And you yourself don't feel insecure that somebody can take your shine anyway. That's another thing. There's some insecurities I'm feeling from you. You and your boss are resonating that insecure vibration, quite frankly. Yeah. You're worried that he's going to take your shine. How can anyone take your shine for real though? It might look like it, and I know, it might look like it, but if you can, like I said, create a rapport with your boss where they can see you less as a threat. All right? Now, the other breath of me, I'm actually going to say to you is keep on shining. Keep on shining. Don't be worried about who is trying to potentially outshine you. Keep on shining. Can the sun be covered up? Nope. Even if a cloud tries to cover it up, that cloud moves on out. Eventually moves on, right? It's only temporary. So I want you to keep on shining. I don't want you to ever feel like you have to retreat from your shining. I want you to be conscious that yes, you have an insecure boss, but I want you to learn from this what not to do as a leader, because you're learning from this person here what not to do. The key here is to collaborate. The key here is to also have certain conversations with your boss, all right, about certain ideas before you even bring it to the group, so it can feel like more of a collaboration, all right? Everybody's gonna get a turn to be a boss. And sometimes, just like right now in your season of your life, it's your boss's time to be the boss. You're there to be a bright light, shining. You seem like you're a high performing person, is to be of service. And as you're being of service, your boss is either gonna open doors for you, or somebody that's watching you, observing you, is gonna open doors for you. Don't try and compete with your boss. Nope, waste of time. And quite frankly, if you even try to do that, you're just like as insecure as your boss. So the hallmark of a good leader, like I said, is to lead by example. So keep shining. Create opportunities to have conversations with your boss about what you're thinking before talking to your group. Maybe even talk about what you are going to address regarding the idea, what you're going to work on before you go to the group, and then what your boss is going to do. Because like I said again, I'm going to keep saying it, I don't want you to create a situation where you are a threat to the boss. But I also have to say, in these situations too, where the boss is insecure and they see you as a threat, sometimes these situations are not going to change. Nope. Until the boss sees that they are insecure and they get some training in self-confidence and emotional regulation, it's going to be that way. But it can get better with some of the ideas I've asked you to consider. All right. It's all about this, it really is. The workplace really, the people who are really successful in the workplace are the ones that can regulate their emotions and understand the power of emotional intelligence. All right. Understand that. You can actually be successful in this situation if you just take your boss as they are. All right. And like I said, figure out what's good about them. Commend them on that. Let them feel good, you know. Let them not think like you're trying to take their job. Because like I said, depending on what kind of leverage your boss has, they can make your life a living hell, or they can, you know, be favorable to you. But like I say, learn what you can in this situation too, about what to do as a boss and what not to do. Nothing is wasted. But in terms of like, going back and forth, if he's trying to take your ideas and he or she thinks he's a thinker, just watch that and let it happen. You're not alone. You're not alone. So I really hope you've got something from this. If you're even watching this, software developer, and those of you out there that have experienced this type of situation where the insecure boss makes wrong decisions, and when you're talking, they try to interject, and try to act as if it's their idea, right? Have those initial conversations before the main meeting. Create a rapport between you and your boss. Learn what is good about your boss so that you're not being seen as a threat. Let them see how valuable you are. Don't compete where you can't compare. All right. Create a collaborative environment. The only competition should be between your organization and your competitor in the marketplace. Point blank, period. Until next time, okay? Don't forget to let me know what you thought about this video in the comment section. Let me know what your experiences are. And do me a favor to like this video. It's a free way to support my channel and other channels like myself, all right? And if you haven't subscribed, get subscribed and hit that notification button so you don't miss the next video with me. Until next time, stay blessed. Bye.